Fantasy Facts, presented by Gridiron Experts, with your hosts, Pat Loftus and Seth Keller.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Seth and I are here on our regularly scheduled Tuesday night. Going to talk everything week 3 and look ahead to week 4. Seth, how are we doing tonight?
My little kid had a runny nose and couldn't go to school, and I had to run around with both of my twins because you can't send one kid to school when one sibling has a runny nose because that's a COVID symptom. And running around getting a doctor's visit and COVID test and all of that great stuff today. It is 100% better to be safe than sorry. But it's
Absolutely.
also like, man, it's a runny nose. Like,
yeah, especially at that age.
Yeah, and it's like, man, I wish there was a way to not have to do this. But then also, it's like, but I totally get it. Like, if somebody else's parent, like, or if some other parent like had their kid come to school with like COVID symptoms, I'd be like, what the hell? Why would you bring your kid to school like this?
That's not a good idea.
Yeah, even though, like, it is. It's like a little silly in the sense that it's like it's a runny nose. Like,
Right.
Kindergarten kids are balls of snot. Like, that's literally what they are. And they're snot and germs and disease, and that's that's why I get it. You gotta get the COVID test. It is what it is, but it's also like it killed my day today. Trying to do all that, but
he's okay. Everybody's good.
Yeah, no, I mean
he good.
Yeah, he runny nose, little like itchy throat, something like that. Like, he'll probably be back in school tomorrow for like a half day because we should get the PCR results back by then.
Yeah. So I'm just playing around on StreamYard. Stuff's gonna pop up. I'm just clicking away while I'm listening. I'm glad your son is doing all right. Glad to hear.
I appreciate that. How about you, Patty O'Brien? How you doing?
I'm tired, man. It's Tuesday and I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm angry at a shit fantasy football week, and I got to talk about it. I got to talk about it again on the show after reliving a 1-3 weekend, being just awful in Scott Fishbowl, being terrible in Polly's playoff, and then my two main leagues that are my friends. In my redraft, I'm 0-3, and in my dynasty league, I'm 1-2. I had a bad week.
Wow, Pat.
So here we are.
Yeah, I mean, at least the leagues that I'm doing like horrible in, it's like my friends' leagues, which is like a plus and a negative, where it's like they literally the entire chat is just them making fun of the fact that I'm 0-3. And, it's a double-edged sword of it, like, yeah, it is what it is, man.
Right. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's, first, you can find the show at GX Fantasy Facts. You can find me at Dynasty_Pat. You can find Seth at FF the At Home Dad. We're still running our promos. We've got the Viridian Global promo. That's a mouthful. Use the code FAQS, FAQS, at checkout. Save 10%. Yep. You can leave it up there for a second? There it is. ViridianGlobal.com, FAQS, at checkout to save 10%. And we still have the promo with Underdog.
That's right. Underdog is bringing back the mid-season best ball. So if you're like Pat and I and you have a team that's 0-3, you're probably by week 6 going to be wanting to scrub that team anyways. So go ahead, get you some Underdog, get into that. And best of all, if you sign up using our promo code, you're going to be able to get a free $10. Guess how much that resurrection, as they call it, costs? $10. So you sign up, deposit $10, you get a free $10. You have 2 entries right there into that resurrection. That's 2 leagues that you can now pay attention to if your league starts off 0-6, because you're probably not paying attention to it if it's redraft at that point. So get you some Underdog. Use the promo code FAQS, that's FAQS, click the link in the bio. It'll take you directly to it. Get in there and then join me on Thursdays at lunchtime where I stop doing work. I don't
Tuesdays
eat
or
lunch. I don't
Tuesdays or
eat lunch.
Thursdays?
Thursdays. I moved it to
Oh, you're
Thursdays.
going Thursdays now. Nice.
Moved it to Thursdays.
Nice.
And so lunchtime on Thursdays, join me and we'll do a live draft. We'll talk about what's happening and get all set up for the weekend of some good old betting on underdog because it's one of the few spots where you can do legal prop bets in New York State, which drives me crazy. It is what it is.
Shall we?
I
pop
think
one
we
open?
shall. Let's pop one open. It's time to pop one open with the opening question.
Tonight's opening question comes from at M Woodward the third, so it's M Woodward 3RD. This is a PPR league. Who do you prefer this week from this group of tight ends? You ready? Cole Kmet, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Conklin, Tommy Tremble.
I mean, Kmet, Schultz, those guys all kind of show up at the top there. Who was the other guy that you said in there? Conklin and Tremble?
Tyler Conklin or Tommy Tremble, yep.
I mean, I do like the idea, and we're going to get into it in the news, but Tommy Tremble now has a pathway to success. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to get excited about a rookie tight end. Probably were something we might talk about during the show also, Pat, because I know you have feelings about a rookie tight end.
No.
But I just don't think I have the confidence to play him. I mean, I would probably feel the best. Oh, wait, though. Is Andy Dalton playing or is Justin Fields playing? Because I have absolutely no faith in Justin Fields after the outing he had in week 3.
We don't know because Matt Nagy came out and said that he doesn't know who will be the week 4 starter. I'm going to try to limit the amount of Bears talk this week because last week was frustrating because all 3 parties involved, and I promise this will be my only Bears talk. I don't think they're in the news and notes, and I don't plan on talking about their game this week against the Lions. So between Justin Fields, Matt Nagy, and that Bears offensive line, none of them did each other any favors. Right? The Bears offensive line was terrible. I think Fields was sacked 9 times. Matt Nagy didn't do Fields any favors because the scheme and the play calling for that game was atrocious. It's almost like he's never seen Justin Fields play football. And then Fields didn't do himself any favors either because ultimately the ball's in his hands. He can choose where he's going to go with it if he's going to talk it and run. So all 3 parties involved failed each other miserably. And I really don't want to use that game as what I'm basing, the season for Justin Fields. It was a shit game. Everybody sucked. Let's just leave it at that. And hopefully against my Lions in week 4, Fields gets the start and we can kind of see what he can do because the Lions are terrible.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, back to the opening question. Who are you?
I mean, it still doesn't really help me out too much because I'm like, do I do Kmet against the lowly Lions or do I do Schultz against the Panthers? And I mean, I think you got to go with like the not hot hand, but I think you got to go with the guy that has probably the most upside. And I think it's Kmet, and almost hope that Andy Dalton is back to get him the ball. Which is sounds so counterintuitive. But yeah, like if Andy Dalton is playing, I actually feel more comfortable playing Cole Kmet than I do if Justin Fields is playing. So, I mean, after that, it's probably Dalton Schultz or Conklin. And I mean,
so I'm actually going to go against the grain here. I actually like Tommy Tremble this week. They found innovative ways to get him the ball Thursday night. Plenty of time to rest, plenty of time to get more acclimated, right? Because he is a rookie. So you have, They play Thursday night, so they've got a lot of time to get him in practice, to get him, I want to say up to speed, but get him more involved. Oh, and by the way, the Dallas Cowboys have the second worst defense against tight ends this year. So you got a hot Sam Darnold, a team that's not very good against the tight end, and a young tight end who's starting to make a name for himself. I'm leaning Tommy Tremble here unless I hear otherwise. Unless I'm just trying to check this real quick.
I mean, I see the Cowboys as in half-point PPR is the number 2.
So I'm looking at this I'm looking at full PPR. This was the question was full PPR. So the Cowboys they're still bad. They're still bad against tight ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm there with you. I don't mind the Tommy Tremble play. I'm just not a huge believer in chasing the points. Like, TLC taught me don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like is you're chasing week 3 points. But we're in week 4. So there's no reason chasing those points now because they've already happened. They're there. Like,
no, but
I don't think you're going to get the same type of production out of him in week 4 that you got in week 3. Could it be there? Yeah, because the Cowboys have let up against tight ends.
Would it help? Man, would it help if I said that Tyler Conklin was my second option here? Because he has a very clear path to targets, and he's also coming off a pretty big week.
I mean,
still chasing points, but I
feel like so to me it's the better offense. Like I would rather.
So that's Carolina.
I'd rather play like Schultz because of what Schultz did in week 3 is kind of like what it, and again, I'm not trying to say chase points, but it's like if the defense focuses on CeeDee Lamb and Cooper, it's going to leave Schultz open.
And Zeke.
The game plan is not going to be let's shut down Dalton Schultz. And so for me, I'd rather have a more explosive offense. I'd rather have the opportunity for points. I'd rather have the opportunity to be running routes in the red zone. And to me, that's Schultz, Conklin, Tremble, and then like Cole Kmet in that sense. And then it comes down to volume. And I think that's where Cole Kmet gets a little bit of a bump. And it becomes more of an argument. I think I've convinced myself I'm going Dalton Schultz is my number 1 here. And then probably Conklin, Kmet, Tremble.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Boom. Feel so much better about myself now that I feel like that.
Shall we go to the news desk?
Yes, we shall. I gotta finish drinking my beer though first. Pat cheese, man. Fresh fantasy facts news desk. I am gonna turn that soundbite into like a little video.
Oh yeah, no, we need to do when it's in between work, working, being full-time parents, husbands, trying to do everything. I'm sure we can find plenty of time to make this happen.
Yeah. It's so weird because like I'm looking at my phone and it says that we have like people watching the show with us right now, but then when I'm looking at StreamYard, it's showing 0. And it's like, I don't understand what's happening right now. If you're listening to the show, just be like, hey, I'm here. Send me a little wave icon or something, or ask us a question. Do something. Let us know if you're actually out there, because I'm so confused by the fact that it says 0 on this, but then it's showing on Twitter that we got people watching. We got people hanging out with us. So I like to know that we got people hanging out with us. It makes me feel like it's not just me and Pat talking.
Me and you just talking to each other. Yeah. All right, let's run through some news and notes because we got a lot of things to cover.
Yeah.
Start at the top.
Yep.
Let's start out I almost said San Diego. Let's start out in LA. That the Chargers, Justin Herbert, he hit his throwing hand on a helmet. He didn't leave the game, but after the game, he left the stadium with his throwing hand wrapped in ice. No updates since then, so likely just a precaution. And that's good news because Herbert had himself a day on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean,
That is all. That is all.
I think this is when you hit like a certain level of athleticism, like just being wrapped in ice is a daily part of your routine. And so I almost see this as like
as I'm rubbing my shoulder because I had to move a box spring. One box spring. And my shoulder hurts.
Yeah. No, we're not at that point anymore. I remember in college, like seeing I did like work for like event staff and stuff like that. And like seeing especially the volleyball players, like they after every practice, their knees would just have bags of ice.
Oh, yeah.
And they would just walk around with these bags of ice like taped up under their knees. And to me, that's all this is here. It's just like he probably did ding up his hand. He probably did hurt himself a little bit, but he's probably going to be just fine. Something to keep an eye out for. If Herbert's your only quarterback, you're probably going to be fine. Nothing to panic about, but just be aware of it. Have a backup plan. Be ready to transition if that needs to happen.
So good and bad. The Chargers play Monday night, so he gets that extra day of rest. But if it is an injury, you're kind of pigeonholed here. You've got to play somebody Sunday in the hopes that Herbert doesn't play Monday. But we're putting the cart before the horse because there's been no injury updates. So I think tomorrow is going to be a day to check on Herbert just to see how he's doing. All right.
Let's move over to I legit was just thinking, wait, who's Herbert's backup? Like if you had to like go out right now and pick up like Herbert's backup, it's like, wait a minute, who is behind Herbert?
I don't know.
See now I gotta hop on the Google.
So you do that. Bring up the next one. We'll talk tight ends. You want to cue up the next banner? Yep. There we go. Gronk took a shot.
I didn't know
on Sunday against the Rams. X-rays to his ribs were negative, and he's looks likely to play Week 4 per Adam Schefter. All right, who's the backup there?
Easton Stick.
Easton Stick. Okay.
I knew that. They also have our boy, Mr. Clipboard himself.
Oh shit.
Yep. You know
Chase Daniels.
There we go.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel. No S.
Whatever. Chase Daniel. Best job in the NFL.
Yep. So yeah, okay. I was gonna say maybe throw, get one of those guys on your team, but man, no. Okay.
All right. So we
ride or die with Herbert.
We talked Gronk. Let's move on. We're good. So let's move on. We got a trade.
Yeah, he should be fine.
Yeah. Trade. The Panthers trade Dan Arnold to the Jaguars for a third. I'm sorry, they trade Arnold and a third to Jacksonville in exchange for a 2020 first-round pick, cornerback. I believe he was like the 9th pick overall. He was the top 10.
He was like a top 10 pick, yeah.
Yeah. C.J. Henderson is going from the Jags to the Panthers for Dan Arnold and a third-round pick.
I kind of love this trade. Like
I love it for the Panthers since they just lost J.C. Horn.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, good trade.
It's good for the Panthers, but it's also bringing Dan Arnold to the Jags, and Dan Arnold is a weapon at the tight end position, even though he's not a Kelsey weapon. I don't want to I'm not trying to say that, but he is a versatile receiving weapon at tight end. He blocks a little bit, but the Jags, I mean, they had Mr. O'Shea Hennessy, and like they were trying to get him the ball, and then he went down and got hurt. And then they had, and I should have been better prepared. They had another tight end in there that you saw like a weird little spike in volume there, and now you have Dan Arnold going there, and it's like he could be another weapon for this, for this Jacksonville team, right? And
I mean that tight end room in Jacksonville was weak because you had James O'Shaughnessy. I mean, you have Chris Manhertz, Jacob Hollister, Luke Farrell. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot there. I mean, Arnold is probably not a Week 4 play, but Week 5, if you need a tight end, you might want to try. You might want to see if he's out there.
Yeah. No, and that's what I mean. Like he's the type of guy where if you're in a deeper league or in a dynasty league or you got some room on your bench,
There you
he's a
go.
guy that
He's a stash.
not a bad pickup. Another
Right.
one, if your waivers run on Wednesday, is Tommy Tremble. And so like I was trying to sneak those waiver claims in right up right up before this trade, and now this trade is happening, and now I'm like, damn it. I feel like I could have gotten Tommy Tremble for like $1 or $2 a fab, but now like this trade is like blowing it all up, and now I feel like I am going to have to invest a whole lot more to bring Tommy Tremble onto the team. But I like it for the Panthers because it's going to open the door for Tremble, and it's going to give them, like you mentioned, a really good cornerback to replace the fact that JC Horn just went down. So I am all for this trade between teams that most people probably are not that excited about, with the Panthers and the Jags, but I think it's a pretty good trade. So
Agreed. All
all right.
running backs. The Colts are open to trading Marlon Mack, who is now fully healthy, fully back from the Achilles tear last year. This is tough, right? Because Achilles injuries are difficult to predict what's going to happen. So
when he gets signed by or he gets traded to the San Francisco 49ers, how much fab are you investing in how much fab are you investing in Marlon Mack?
None.
Come on. A little bit.
No, because I don't even want to go down that path, because I'm not going to like how it ends up. Because one, Marlon Mack is rostered in the main dynasty league that I'm in, and I'm not wasting fab on him in the seasonal league. So Marlon Mack, I want no part of Marlon Mack, mainly because the recovery from an Achilles injury is so unpredictable. And it's not whatever you're giving up, unless it's like a last round rookie pick, it's too much.
Yeah.
And even then, the last round rookie pick can be beneficial. So,
yeah. I'm not touching them in a dynasty league. Pretty much at all. I don't think I would touch them at all in a dynasty league. In a redraft league, if I went full what's the word? What's the people that used to beat themselves for religious purposes? You know what I'm talking about.
You're asking the wrong person.
They weren't flog. Oh damn. Okay, we got to get our history lesson on another point. But like he's full blown. Like if you went full on 0 RB, like just religious to the T. I'm going 0 RB. He's a guy that it's not a bad dart throw. It's a bad dart throw if you're investing significant fab. If you're investing like $1, $2, something like that, then it's not a bad play. Pick them up for free, not a bad play. If you have the space on your roster to do it, because if you went 0 RB, and let's say you went 0 RB and you have like Mike Davis, right? Disappointing.
Are you looking at my fantasy football rosters right now?
I mean, no. If you have, I'm trying to think of like who else you may have gotten in those later rounds. But like if you did that,
like a Damian Harris.
Yeah. Myles Gaskin, Damian Harris. Those are all guys. And I think Damian Harris and Myles Gaskins will kind of rebound a little bit. And I actually think in the like a true 0 RB, them being in the 4th and 5th round, they're still off limits for the diehard, like almost like apostle-like level of 0 RB mindset. So you're going even deeper, right? So if you did that, then Marlon Mack throwing a dart at him is not a terrible idea. I know it's gross, but you're throwing a dart. And in zero RB, that's what you're doing with these running backs now. You have to throw these darts at these type of guys, because if you didn't get a guy like Chase Edmonds, Cordarrelle Patterson, my boy Cordero, I feel like I always pronounce his name wrong, but Cordero. If you didn't get one of those guys, you are probably hurting at the running back position. So, all right, more than enough time on Marlon Mack.
Yes. Let's go to New England. According to Ian Rappaport, James White suffered a hip subluxation, same injury Ryan Fitzpatrick had.
Yep.
In week 3, and he's out indefinitely.
Yeah. It's a fancy word for his hip is dislocated.
There it is. Okay.
Like it's no bueno. Same thing with Fitzpatrick. They're going to be out for a while. And it's another thing that it depends on how it heals, because you got to get it back. You got to get it from dislocated to located. And I'm a medical type of guy. I'm just gonna add DR to the end of my Twitter handle. But you got to do that, and then you have to let all of the pieces that hold the joint together heal back around it, right? If you've ever dislocated a finger, imagine think of how painful it is for them to pop it out, put it back in, and then how much time it takes for it to get back together so that you can flex it and not feel like your finger is just stuck, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine that being your entire leg, because it's your hip that's not in place.
The problem here is James White's 29 years old.
Yeah.
This could be a career ender. I'm just.
I mean, season ender.
Yes.
I could definitely see career ender. He probably has enough if he wants to. If he wants to keep going, he probably has enough to keep going. All right, let's keep going with running backs. Darrell Henderson is hopeful. Did I spell hopeful wrong? I don't know.
You spelled it. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. Henderson is hopeful to play week 4. Good.
That's coming from Sean McVay as well.
Good. I mean, honestly, I kind of wonder if this is you remember before week 1, everyone was going, well, yeah, it makes sense. Start Andy Dalton week 1, sacrifice him to the Rams defense.
Mm-hmm.
That ridiculously. I almost kind of want to say
we talked about that.
I mean, you talked about it. I was like, that's ridiculousness. I almost feel like Henderson taking the day against the Bucs defense was kind of Sony, yep, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain still. Sony, go ahead and get out there. You crash into Vita Vea. You
go get him, kid.
You go get smashed by them, and I'll just watch as Stafford keeps lighting up, light up our guys on the outside and lighting up that defense. You go have yourself a fun time pass blocking, and just getting demolished by that pass rush and that run stopping front in Tampa Bay. So no, that didn't happen, but that's what I think in my brain. But I'm excited for Henderson to come back. He gets a decent return. I want to say, where are the
Cardinals? They play Arizona.
I mean, that's not a bad. It's not a bad return. It's not a good return. They're
middle of the pack,
20th against running backs in half PPR. So it's not bad, but it's not good. They're in the middle of the pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
So decent return. I need him back in my lineup in a couple of leagues. So I am excited for Henderson to be hopeful to come back.
There you go.
All right. CMC is not going on IR.
Huge sigh of relief there.
Yep. But also makes me a little bit nervous because I want to make sure that his hamstring's healed. Right. I do not want this to be a
lingering.
Right. No, I'm good. I'm great. Everything's fine. And then he comes back. Right. He comes back week 5 and now and does the same thing. And now he's out again. And yes, I'm saying that selfishly for my fantasy teams, but I'm also saying that for CMC, you want CMC to be healthy. If you're a Panthers fan, you want him to be healthy. If you're an NFL fan,
you want
him to be healthy.
Yes.
And so I like the fact that he's not going on IR because that sheds some light on hopefully this being a positive return to action. But it also makes me really nervous that man, if he comes back too early and he pops, like he strains it again, or he tweaks it, or like maybe he actually worsens the hamstring issue, it makes me real nervous.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what that offense. We've got a good look at that offense with him. We kind of know what that offense is without him. That offense is way better with CMC in the lineup. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
It could be the easiest, truest statement so far.
Carolina, tread water for 3 weeks, get him back, and then continue your strong season. All right, let's go to wide receivers. KJ Hamler, torn ACL, will miss the remainder of the season. The injury woes for the Broncos continue. Now down Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. So, fire up more Cortland Sutton and Tim
Cortland Sutton, 25 targets, over or under?
I'm not betting you this week.
Because that, like, as stupid as that sounds, like, where else are they going with the ball? Like
Noah Fant.
I mean but that's it. That you have Noah Fant, you have Cortland Sutton, you have Tim Patrick,
Williams.
Khalifa. No, isn't Khalifa Raymond hurt also?
Khalifa Raymond's in Detroit.
No, isn't he? He went to the Broncos, didn't he?
No, Khalifa Raymond plays for the Lions.
Are you
Khalifa
sure?
Raymond plays for the Detroit Lions.
Who am I thinking then? That they have somebody that's similar to
you
that.
think Trinity Benson, who is also on the Lions? No, Raymond played for the Broncos 5 years ago.
There we go. Okay, I'm just 5 years behind. It happens. Yeah. I'm old. Whatever.
True.
So am I. But like, does that mean Melvin Gordon now gets involved more in the passing game? Probably. Does that mean Javonte Williams gets involved in the passing game, even though he's not like a great pass catcher, but he's decent enough at it?
Only garbage time for Javonte Williams.
Yeah, but I mean, what? So where do those targets go? Because Denver's
they go to Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and Noah Fant.
Yeah, and I mean they're gonna have to throw the ball. They're going up against the Ravens, so
yes,
I don't see the Broncos shutting down the Ravens like they shut down the Jets. I mean, the Jets kind of, I feel like the Jets are. You remember the old Looney Tune commercials where the Gremlins like shutting down, like disassembling the plane, like as it's happening, and then like the Broncos are coming along and they're like, no, we're shutting down the plane, and the Jets are like, don't worry, we've already done it. We're good. We're not going anywhere anyways. That you're gonna get a whole lot more out of the Ravens than that. So, yeah.
All right, let's move to Cincinnati. To Cincinnati we go. Also, no bueno here. T. Higgins still sidelined with a shoulder issue. In doing research for this, couldn't find what exactly it is. To me, it sounds like it's pain management, soreness management, and which can be tricky because at kickoff he might feel great, and then he takes one hit or falls one time the wrong way, and all of a sudden he can't go. Yep. So monitor and tread lightly with T. Higgins. And if T. Higgins can't go, Tyler Boyd sees an uptick just like he did in week 3.
Yeah.
I think that's not a hot take.
Yeah.
Right?
And maybe Chase gets 3 touchdowns this week instead of just 2.
Maybe.
But all right, let's keep it going.
Keep it going. Yeah, this one.
AJ Brown destroyed one of my lineups to help me stay 0-3. Thanks a lot, AJ Brown. Lost that one by I think it was 5 to 10 points, something like that. AJ Brown has been kind of killing my lineup anyways, but now week to week with a hammy issue. So same thing with CMC. You want him to be healthy. You want him to get right. You want him to be the star that he can be. And right now he's just not it. He's not it. Hasn't been it so far this season. Not it because he's hurt. Tough blow to fantasy rosters and to the Titans. But now Julio takes a little bit of a bump. Maybe they get Derrick Henry a few more passes in here. Maybe they start getting in Josh Reynolds a little bit more. They maybe get I actually haven't heard anything about them moving their rookie Dez Fitzpatrick up into the starting roster, but I mean, I would like that because I was high on Dez Fitzpatrick as an option. So I would like to see that happen, but it looks like it's going to be probably a whole lot of Julio.
Yeah, it's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Kansas City has signed Josh Gordon after he was reinstated. He will start with the practice squad. This is so you talked about spending money on Marlon Mack. I would spend fab budget here. I would have no problem spending a few dollars on Josh Gordon because you're pairing him with one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah. And it's real easy to hate that though. Like that to take that take and hate that take. It's real easy to hate it, especially if you were one of those people that dropped money on, bringing Josh Gordon onto your fantasy roster in the past, right? And so I think you have a lot of emotion that is carried with Josh Gordon that has not been addressed by fantasy managers. And that's where you get all of the Twitter arguing happening about whether or not they would drop fab on Josh Gordon. But I agree with you, Pat. It's one of those things where I'm going to lose to somebody that's going to drop way too much money, in my opinion, on Josh Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to throw something out there. I'm going to throw something out there that makes sense to me. Yeah. And more times than not, I'm probably going to get beat. But I'm also going to sit there and wait. And when Josh Gordon doesn't perform, hopefully he's got his life together and he doesn't have to worry about his substance issues anymore. But if that creeps up again, it's kind of like sitting there back and being like just waiting for the I told you so moment, right? Fair. The same way that the person who's going to drop 45% of their fab budget on them is going to just wait for that one game to say, I told you so. Did you see? Did you see his 56, yard catch and run for a touchdown? Told you it was coming. So, yeah, I don't hate it, but I also don't like it.
Let's move to a bit of good news.
Mm-hmm.
Not much good news, but John Harbaugh said Rashad Bateman will return to practice this week from his core muscle surgery. So he is a guy. He's probably not rostered. They're probably not available in any dynasty leagues, but take a look in your seasonal leagues and see if Bateman is available. If he is, go get him right now.
Yeah. Try and get him now before the price increases. The fab auction actually starts.
Agreed.
All right. And last
one, yes. Go ahead. This one's all you.
Sure. Juju has bruised ribs and he's day-to-day. It looks like he's probably going to come back. And, I mean, depending on who you have rostered on your fantasy teams, you either like this or you don't, because Najee Harris saw an insane amount of targets with Juju out and Deontay out, and Chase Claypool saw an insane amount of targets with both of them out as well. Mm-hmm. So it depends on who you have on your roster as to how you kind of look at this little nugget of news here. But the Steelers do not look good. They look like Big Ben is cooked. Absolutely cooked. Like soggy, mushy spaghetti, overcooked. Yeah. Not good at all.
Well, that does it for news and notes this week. I feel like news and notes is going to be like, I think we covered like 15 things tonight. It's going to be like that every week, because every week there's always something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this week was very negative.
Yeah. A
lot of injuries and little tweaks and little things that like, oh yeah, it's nothing big, but it's nothing big today on a Tuesday. We got Jacksonville, Cincy coming up on Thursday, so you're going to want to keep an eye on T. Higgins. You're going to want to keep an eye on Dan Arnold and be ready to go. Well, maybe not Arnold for Thursday night, but keep an eye on definitely T. Higgins for Thursday night.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a little preview now. What we're going to get into. We're going to start talking about the Week 4 schedule, games we like, games we don't like, players, matchups, things that we might try to take advantage of if given the opportunity. So I'm going to let you start this week, Seth. Don't steal my game.
I am. Oh man, now I need to go look at the show sheet and see what you actually highlighted.
It's the green.
Okay,
the green one is the one that I want to talk about.
Okay, all right, good. You know what's funny is I'm gonna go, and I think you and I talked a little bit about like games that we're not so much excited for in terms of like actual football or fantasy, but more just to try and like hone in on a specific aspect of the game and just trying to figure out like what is actually going on with these teams. And for me, that's the Colts Miami game. They have been just so not what I expected, right? Like I expected Miami. I saw them last year, and granted the defense was playing a little bit above their like it seemed like they were playing above their talent level last year, right? But it seemed like they were building on a lot of positive things. And for them this season, they squeaked out a victory in Gillette, right? In Gillette Stadium against the Patriots week 1. They got annihilated by the Bills 35-0 with Tua going out in, like the first 5 minutes. And then they lost to the Raiders in overtime 28-31. And so I want to figure out what is going on with the Dolphins, but I also want to figure out what's going on with the Colts, because the Colts are another team that I was like, all right, they should be doing okay. They have the offensive line that I want to see. They have a running back that I think should be a top flight running back. Wentz, I'm not in love with, but he has he has tools. He was on the path to be an MVP candidate until like he broke his back in Philly all those years ago. They have, not great receivers, but some receivers that Michael Pittman, Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell. Like, I want to see what's going on. I want to see what's going on with these two teams, because it's like, where do they fit? How are they going to shake out?
Right.
And there's fantasy points to be made, because both of them have given up points essentially all across the board. Like Miami is top 2 to running backs.
Yep.
The Colts are 8 and 5, top best for quarterbacks and wide receivers. So there's gonna be fantasy points scored.
Yeah.
There's gonna be stuff happening. It's great. That is A1 level analysis right there.
I mean, there will be a winner and there will be a loser.
Unless they tie.
Generally speaking, the team that scores more points wins the game.
Typically.
So I'm going to add to your analysis here.
Yeah.
No, it's a game that I was not expecting you to want to talk about. But now that you've got me looking into matchups and your kind of breakdown there, it is intriguing because, there, like you said, there are points to be had there. We get to see, hopefully Tua's back, because the Dolphins are better with Tua.
Yeah.
But, we didn't talk about that. I didn't look for an update, so we'll tweet something out later. Anyway, the Colts are not very good against quarterbacks. They've given up a little over 700 yards, 9 touchdowns, giving up 26 fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. So are we get another good week out of Jacoby Brissett? And if we see that good week out of Jacoby Brissett, who's the benefactor, right? Because he targeted Gesicki a lot last week, right? But the Colts are good against the tight end. So do we see an uptick here for Dolphin wide receivers? Because like you said, the Colts are not good against wide receivers. So, where are the points to be had in this game? And do we get to see the full effectiveness? I don't know if that's the right word. Do we get to see what the Colts offense really can do? Do we get to see all of Carson Wentz? Do we get to see Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines? Do we get to see that young Colts receiving core step up and have a breakout? Someone finally have a breakout game.
Yeah, and they've had receivers that have had good games, like Zach Pascal has had.
Good, yes.
In week 1 and week 2, he put up 15-point PPR weeks. Those are great games for a wide receiver that you got.
But Pascal,
crazy late in a draft.
He's not,
but he's not putting up.
He's not Michael Pittman.
Right? He's not putting up 30 points. He's not.
No, those guys aren't either. But he's
right. Like you want to see who's
Pittman
going to do that? Who's going to have a 20-point game? Who's going to have that 25-point game? Who's going to have that 100 yards and 2 scores?
Naheem Hines.
I mean, Naheem Hines has already had 2 plays on the season that he is in the top 10 fastest people on NFL Next Gen Stats. One of them is a 9-yard touchdown run. I don't understand how in 9 yards you get up to 20 miles an hour.
He's good.
I don't understand it, but it's pretty cool.
Well, also, and I am looking this up on the fly. There's Naheem Hines. Naheem Hines is this for the season? Yeah, Naheem Hines right now, RB22. Where is? I thought I read somewhere he had outscored Jonathan Taylor.
And so it looks like, and I was just looking also, it looks like Tua is going on injured reserve. And this is from Ian Rappaport on September 25th.
Okay.
So
3 days ago.
Yeah. So I haven't seen anything newer on Tua, but it looks like he's going to miss at least 3 games, which would bring him back for week 6.
Yep.
So even there, Brissett played well enough.
Yeah.
Like if Brissett's starting the game, is he going to be able to get, Devontae Parker, Waddle, Will Fuller should be active in this game. Like, is he going to be able to distribute the ball to those wide receivers? Is he going to be able to, get the right play for Myles Gaskin to do something? Like, there's just so many weird ways to this game could go.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Gesicki, all of this leads me to like Mike Gesicki a lot more this week. I mean, again, we talked about chasing points earlier, but it's also Gesicki had 12 targets. He had 10 catches for 86 yards, right? That led the team in week 3 against the Raiders. And a pretty good Raiders defense against the pass. Yeah. So, you get roughly the same matchup. And this is my MFL league with everything, and if you look at the Colts against the tight end, I believe they were, let's see, Colts. Okay, so they're a top 10 defense against the tight end. But again, Gesicki got a shitload of targets. So it's going to be an interesting game to watch, that's for sure. Definitely didn't see you going that direction.
All right, well, now it's your turn.
My turn?
I think we got enough time. We can probably get 2 in each, maybe.
Okay.
We're gonna try and make it happen. Go talk quick, Pat. After I use 10 minutes,
you're telling me to talk quick. That's fine. Oh, that's fine, because we still have the fact attack to do tonight as well. All right, so I'm going to talk Carolina Dallas. Do we get to see if Carolina is for real, right? Because You have no CMC, so you get to see the full Sam Darnold effect this week because he had CMC for 2.5 weeks. So you get to see this Sam Darnold, the Carolina offense. DJ Moore's an absolute monster. Robbie Anderson has been probably the best ball threat that everyone thought he would be. We haven't seen a whole lot of Terrace Marshall. We're getting Tommy Tremble involved because they just traded away Dan Arnold. So we get to see what this offense can do against a better Dallas Cowboys defense, right? I'm not going to say good. I'm not going to say great.
You should say good, but
I did. I thought I said good. I mean, the Cowboys defense against quarterbacks is not great. Giving up 28.3 points per game, a little over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Now Dallas does have 6 picks on the year, so that's a positive there for you Cowboy fans. Let's see. So now we're probably going to see a steady dose of Chuba Hubbard, and mix in a little bit of Royce Freeman. So Dallas is actually a top 10 defense against the run.
And let's just pause there for a quick second, because let's look at who the Cowboys have played at the quarterback position, as we're like saying like, oh, the Cowboys have given up so many points to quarterbacks. They've given up points to Tom Brady, by consensus, the GOAT, right?
QB2 this year so far, correct?
Yeah. Justin Herbert, who he's started off
slow,
a little slow, but I think part of that may be the Cowboys defense. Like the Cowboys held them to only 17 points, but Justin Herbert, who's a good quarterback, and then Jalen Hurts, I think the Cowboys exposed some of his warts that I was trying to talk about ahead of time about bailing on the pocket too early, which was actually really great to hear Peyton and the Peyton and Eli experience mention that also. And I was that's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
I watched that for the first time last night, and granted it was later in the game and it was just Peyton and Eli. I'm not a fan.
Oh, really? I loved it.
It's more into like Eli Manning. Peyton's great. If they were to put McAfee in there with him full time, holy shit, I would watch every second of that. But it's when they mix in the guests, it's when it gets better because it's not just Peyton and Eli. And for me, I just can't stand Eli Manning.
I mean, they had Nick Saban on last night. They had
I didn't catch
Matt
any.
Stafford.
I missed a lot of that.
Yeah. The lineup was Matt Stafford, LeBron James, Nick Saban, and Chris Long. It was.
It's cool that they're getting all these guys, especially.
It was great.
Current NFL players to come on and talk. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I just can't stand Eli Manning. All right. Anyway, back to Carolina.
Either way.
Yeah. I mean, we know what you're getting with Dak. You know what you're getting with Zeke, who had himself a pretty decent game. Now, this will be probably the most difficult defense they've played against because Carolina is the number one defense against the run, giving up a measly 7.6 points PPR points per game. They've only given up 94 yards and no touchdowns on the ground to running backs. And I haven't looked back to see who they've played yet, but they're a good run defense.
Yeah, I mean the Panthers have played the Jets. Who am I missing there?
Week 2 they played.
I mean they're 3-0. They played the Jets, the Saints, and the Texans.
Yeah, I mean they locked down Kamara in there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, Kamara still had himself a day receiving, I want to say. But you're right. They did stop. I mean, in terms of rushing, the Saints did not run the ball at all. Yeah. Kamara had 8 rushes for 5 yards. They didn't. They just chose not to run the ball. They also just didn't have the ball in their possession.
I think I'm talking myself into a Panthers fan this year because they're top 7. I say 7 because they are the 7th best defense against wide receivers. They did lose J.C. Horn, but they brought in C.J. Henderson. I don't expect Henderson to be active for this game, but they're bringing in someone to cover a hole that they found themselves in. And against the tight end, where are the Panthers? Their top 6 defense against the tight end. So I think it's going to be interesting because you have the Cowboys offense that everyone wanted to see, is prolific offense. Everybody's finally healthy. And now you're finally starting to see, because you had pieces in different games. Right? Week 1, it was Amari Cooper. Last week, it was Zeke. Pollard got mixed in week 2. So, do we see this offense come together this week against a really good Panthers defense? And on the flip side, can Carolina keep this party going without arguably a top 5 player in the NFL who is out for a couple weeks? So that's the game for me that I'm probably going to spend the most time watching on Sunday, if I can find it. Actually, I know I can find it because of you.
I gave you the hookup. Yeah,
you got the hookup.
I mean, I just want to throw, and maybe we'll do this one. A game that I kind of don't want to see.
Sure.
Is and I think that everybody's going to hate me for this. The game I kind of don't want to see is the Sunday night game.
Yeah,
I don't want to see the Buccaneers annihilate the Patriots.
Right.
Like I see that game being just an extremely lopsided debacle, right? Yeah. And to me,
I just don't want to hear the you know what? I will watch that game, but I'll watch it on mute.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear the announcers filleting Tom Brady for 3.5 hours.
Yeah. And I agree.
That's what it's going to be.
That's where we need the Eli and Peyton show, because you don't have to hear the commentators. It'll just be those guys having a good time talking.
No, I'm with you there. I was actually going to say something to you pre-show, let's not talk about this game because I don't really care. So,
yeah.
All right. Do you want to cover one more? We can talk about that for about a minute. And you want to do another one?
That was mine. I just wanted to talk about the Buccaneers. Okay. I think the Buccaneers are going to crush the Patriots. So
I agree. All right. So I'm going to talk 2 games, and I'm going to make this quick. Right. There are 2 games that I want to watch, but I don't want to watch. And if I watch them, you can see my video, right? It's one of those things I'm going to cover my eyes, but I'm just going to peek through a little bit to watch it, because it's Washington at Atlanta, and it's Pittsburgh at Green Bay. And I'm watching this to see Matt Ryan and Big Ben, because I believe they're cooked. I believe we are seeing the end of an era here for Matt Ryan and for Ben Roethlisberger. And I know Ben had the pec injury last week, and that may have impacted him a little bit, but I mean, they're my age. They're late 30s, right?
Yeah.
Not many guys can do it.
Yeah.
Past them. I mean, we got lucky. We saw 2 of them already, in Brady and Breeze, and I think Aaron Rodgers is up there as well.
Yeah,
he's 35.
I'd have to
36.
check. I think he's 30. Yeah, 34. I think he's a little bit younger.
He's a young buck then. But I'm going to watch those games, but I'm also watching them because I want to see how bad Matt Ryan and Big Ben are. If it's true, are they cooked? Is 2020 the end of an era?
Yeah. And it'll be really interesting too, because the Packers are not good at stopping opposing quarterbacks. So there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity there for Big Ben to have himself a game. But
I just don't.
If Juju's hurt, if Deontay's hurt,
I mean,
Najee
Harris is going to get 38 targets.
I was going to say he had 19.
A lot. I had to double check that. I did a double take when I saw that.
Yep. I mean, I did the math right before the show. The Pittsburgh Steelers went 80-20. 80-20 pass to run last week. That's insane.
Yeah. Najee Harris had, So Najee Harris, 19 targets, 14 catches.
Yeah.
for 102 receiving yards and another 14 carries on the ground. So they gave the rookie the ball almost 30 times last week.
Yeah, and that 14 carries, I think there was only one other running back I think there was only one other run outside of his 14 carries, and they threw the ball 60 times. So out of 75 offensive plays, 60 of them were pass plays. That's 80-20.
Yeah, 80%. I do the math in my head. Yeah, 80%. That's a lot.
Yeah.
How are you asking Big Ben to throw the ball 60 times? Jeez.
Right.
That's awful. All right.
It's not a winning formula, but
no, it's not.
It's time for the favorite part of the show.
Always.
It's time.
All right, second week of the Fact Attack. Again, we scour Twitter, we find your questions, we answer them, and then we shout you out when we tweet out the show. So that at least a couple people saw your questions and answered them for you. Mm-hmm. Now, this week I tried to mix it up a little bit because last week I had quite a few questions about the Denver Broncos. So I tried to throw a little variety in there. And also, if you're going to at the show or myself or Seth, we will make sure to get the question in the show. And I'm glad Seth mentioned that because our first question, we got 6 tonight. So let's get through all of them.
Oh, shit. We didn't do the right thing, though. We do it in 5 minutes. That's why it's a Fact Attack.
Yes.
It's the one moment where we're actually supposed to
go fast,
not ramble as we normally do. And actually, I love that the only thing I use my timer for on my phone is the 5-minute Fact Attack. All right, 5-minute Fact Attack. You ready?
Start the clock. First one comes from our old friend at Imperial T. Mm-hmm. I think, right?
Something like that. Clark.
Something like that.
His name's Clark.
His name's Clark. Good dude.
Yeah.
10-team league, half-point PPR. Who is the most droppable out of these 3? Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson, Eli Mitchell.
I love that you said that you're a Panthers fan now because I'm dropping Robbie Anderson. He is the most droppable out of this bunch for me. He's a hit or miss deep ball type of guy. It is not Elijah Mitchell because when Elijah Mitchell comes back or is fully healthy, he's going to have a top 12 RB week when he's healthy because that's just what Shanahan does with running backs is he just finds one, makes them a top 12 running back.
We're rambling now. You say Robbie Anderson, I say Eli Mitchell. Up next, from at Jordan Starks 233, who should he pick up? I'm assuming it's for this week. Are you picking up Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, or Sam Darnold? God damn it, another Carolina Panther.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way. I'm torn between Cousins and Darnold, just because of everything we talked about with Carolina. But they are down CMC, and CMC does catch a lot of balls, so I'm leaning more Kirk Cousins over Sam Darnold. Up next, at Tony Labuza, Booza, Dynasty PPR. This is a contending team. I'm actually combining 2 questions here that I saw on Twitter. Kareem Hunt, Javonte Williams, or David Montgomery. The questions were, do you want Kareem Hunt or Javonte Williams or Kareem Hunt and David Montgomery? So I just combined them all. So pick a running back out of those 3, Seth.
For Dynasty
PPR on a contending team. Ooh. I know where I would want to go, and I'll go first. I'm going Kareem Hunt strictly for the PPR angle. I think Kareem Hunt is not going to be on the Browns much longer. I think he's going to want to be a feature back again, and he's not going to be that on the Browns. He catches a ton of balls. I want Kareem Hunt for Dynasty PPR league.
I think I'm gonna go. I don't know if it's contrarian, but it's at least contrarian to kind of some of my own thoughts. I'm gonna go with Javonte Williams here because he is the youngest of the bunch. He is on the Denver Broncos, who are a team that if they're going to win because they play great defense and they run the ball and keep clock possession. And that's where Javonte Williams does his best work is when
garbage time. Got it.
Well, not. I mean, that's kind of where he's doing some of his work now, but
yeah,
it's him going from garbage time into a bigger role, right? And so if you're contending, I don't want to keep playing. Oh, shut up, Pat. I don't want to keep playing. We got plenty of time. You're distracting me. You got plenty. You don't want to play the game of Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. You don't want to do that. Every third week isn't going to be Kareem Hunt's week. And so for me, I'd rather have Javonte Williams, who I know should have a couple of years left, whereas Hunt's a little bit older. Yes, I like the PPR aspect of that, but you never know when he's going to have his game. Same thing, like David Montgomery, I just don't trust the Bears. And I think they're,
fair.
They're a very poorly run organization.
I'm in agreement with you there.
Yeah. So
what if I told you that Kareem Hunt was RB7 on the year right now and Nick Chubb was RB10? But that's neither here nor there. All right, up next.
That's because Kareem Hunt just had a sick week.
From at BAEZBRY, who's a better ad this week and moving forward? Half PPR league. Manny Sanders, Tim Patrick, Terrace Marshall, another Panther, my bad, or Hunter Renfrow.
You answer it first because now I have to Google Kareem Hunt.
Let's see. Half moving forward. Give me Manny Sanders. He's tied to the best quarterback of this group, and he's been a pleasant surprise for those Buffalo Bills. So I'll take Manny Sanders over those three.
Yeah, I like it, but I don't like it. I'm okay with it. No, Manny Sanders I think is the right choice, and then Terrace Marshall is a close follow up.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's just run through these last two real quick. These are both.
That was the timer that just went off by like real quiet.
So next one's from @_Bo Michael. Who do I start in the flex in a non PPR league? James Robinson, Zach Moss, Trey Sermon.
Volume. You go with James Robinson because he should be the number one back.
Correct.
And until Singletary goes away and Zach Moss is the only guy, which I honestly don't think is going to happen, or until Trey Sermon becomes the only guy in San Francisco, which Trey Sermon, if you played him last week, you got bailed out with a touchdown.
Yep.
He was not a good runner for the majority of that game, but he did have a touchdown. So you got bailed out in terms of your points for that. Whereas James Robinson, it's about volume here. And we probably won't see Carlos Hyde taking too much of that volume.
No.
Of course, now we say that. I've said Carlos Hyde is worth an ad in deep leagues.
This is the week. Carlos Hyde will go off this week. 6 carries, 14 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yes. This is exactly what I was going to say after making that comment about James Robinson being so easily the choice. It's like Carlos Hyde.
We've been doing this 4 years. Yep. I know where you're going. All right. Last one from @OBJYN13. Who do I flex this week in a half PPR league? Chris Carson, Jamar Chase, or Myles Gaskin?
First off, phenomenal name.
Leader of the clubhouse.
Well played, sir. Well played. Half PPR. For me, I'm leaning Jamar Chase because I'm probably in my flex situation. I'm probably looking for a little bit more upside there. If this is a game where I'm expected to just annihilate my opponent, I might be tempted to go safe with Chris Carson. But for me, I'm probably going Jamar Chase, expecting him to have, a decent game. Not probably 100 yards and 2 touchdowns like he got this past week, but a decent game. So I'd lean there most times, but I can see the love for Carson.
I'm with you, but I'm gonna go. It's tempting because T. Higgins might be out, but Cincinnati's playing Thursday night game, so they're coming off a short week. I expect them to beat Jacksonville, so I expect to see a heavy dose of Joe Mixon. Can also see Tyler Boyd getting involved a bit more, whereas Seattle plays 4 o'clock Sunday against San Francisco. I see that being a closer game. Carson finally had a decent, he's put together a couple good weeks in a row. So it's, I'm never a fan of the Thursday night game unless it's an absolute stud, right? Unless it's like a CMC, Derrick Henry, and Jamar Chase isn't there yet. I'm going to go Chris Carson here over Jamar Chase and Myles Gaskin.
Yeah. And just a point of like strategery. Even if Jamar Chase would have been like your flex wide receiver on the week, if you are going to play him, he should be in your starting lineup, like you're starting 2 or 3 wide receivers, however many you play, because then you know what you got on Thursday. If on Sunday you wanted to make that flex change, you could still play Jamar Chase as your starting wide receiver and then Chris Carson. It sounds like you probably have your starting wide receivers locked up. That's why you're thinking about Jamar Chase in that flex spot, but you would move into that main spot.
Actually, I'm curious now. That's a great point. I want to see the rest of this roster because that's a good problem to have for the flex spot.
Yeah.
All right. Did you want to say anything about Kareem Hunt versus Nick Chubb? Or are we putting that conversation to bed for now?
I mean, Kareem Hunt had a decent week 1, 17 points, a bad week 2, 6 points, and then a great week 3 with 27 points.
So how is that any different than Nick Chubb having a great week 1 with 22 points, and a good week 2 with 16 points, and a bad week 3 with 8.4 points?
Because volume is the name of the game. 17 opportunities, 12 opportunities, 22 opportunities versus no, not Demetric Felton, fat fingers, Kareem Hunt versus
9, 14, and 17.
Yeah. And his best game came with the 17.
Yeah, Nick Chubb's best game came with 17.
Not 22.
Yeah.
That was actually his worst game.
Yeah.
But that's because on 22 touches, he didn't find the end zone. Because Kareem Hunt found the end zone instead of him. Like, that's what we're attacking here, right? And so I would be happier having a guy that can gain value throughout the season versus lose value throughout the season, which I feel like Hunt will eventually do, especially considering, well, he's 26, so he's technically at the age cliff for running backs. Yeah. And whereas Javonte Williams,
it's like that second contract age.
Yeah. Whereas Williams is 21. So yeah, you're a contender, but Javonte Williams' value even in this season should escalate because almost everybody assumes that he's going to take
we're not talking
work.
We're not talking about we're talking yesterday about value, but to me, Kareem Hunt is more valuable to this contending team than Javonte Williams this year. Yes, I understand it's a dynasty league, but I don't think you're ever going to start Javonte Williams. If you're a contending team, you're probably not starting Javonte Williams.
And if you're a contending team, you're probably not starting Hunt except in a flex when you're going, I think this is the game that Hunt's going to go off. Whereas Javonte Williams, if you're truly a contending team, you're playing for week 13, 14, 15, 16, now 17. And those are the weeks that we expect Javonte Williams to be playing his best ball.
To already be established. Yes.
Right. And so that's where
this might be another we might have to make another wager here regarding Kareem Hunt and Javonte Williams. I don't know what it is yet because I got to be strategic here since I lost the bet from last week. So Seth and I bet the over-under in the Chargers-Chiefs game. I believe we set it at 54.5.
It was
I took the
55,
over.
but either way,
It wasn't
doesn't matter.
55. I know it wasn't 55.
Okay.
I believe it. I believe it was 54.5. And you said something about, you made a joke about the extra half point. So I'm assuming it was 54.5. It still hit the under. Tonight was water. One of these weeks I'll have a drink and I'll do a shot for you, sir.
Mm-hmm. What's the shot bet for this week? We got to have one.
Oh, God damn it.
Can we bet that the Lions get another record-breaking field goal to lose the game? And that's how we close out the show, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, Detroit.
Good jerk. I actually haven't taken a look at any betting lines or anything.
We'll make a bet. We'll drop it on the Twitters.
Yeah.
I really want to end the show on that one. Good night, Detroit.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Follow the show, GX Fantasy Facts. Follow Pat at Dynasty_Pat. Follow me at FF the At Home Dad. Check out ViridianGlobal.com. Check out UnderdogFantasy.com. Draft with us, play with us, wear the sweet gear that we wear. Come on down. Catch you on the flip side. Pat?
Good night, everybody.